Hey, this is Richard with Salt Strong. Today I'm going to go over a couple quick tips that are going to help you find flounder this fall, specifically in marsh systems. So let's get into it. So here on the East Coast right now is a magical time of year in the fall where all these flounder are actually moving out to go offshore. The great thing about this is it makes it easy for us as anglers to find, locate, and target them on their way out. And you can target these flounder in shallow or deep water, but today we're going to be focusing on marsh systems and the most effective way to find and catch them. So my first tip is going to be on where to target these flounder. You know, flounder in marsh systems are typically going to be around the entrances and exits of creek systems, and also just right outside of those drains as well that are coming off of flats. You know, I personally look for creeks that are closer to bigger bodies of water, you know, that are leading out of your sounds, inlets, or even the intracoastal waterway as well. And one thing to remember is these are southern flounder, you know, like what we have here on the East Coast primarily, and they are 100% ambush predators. So making sure that you can thoroughly cover water, you know, when you're using bait or lures near the bottom will definitely set you up for success. Areas that I like to target typically have a few things in common, such as oysters or structure, especially ledges as well, and just anywhere that looks like a good ambush point is very likely going to be a good spot to ambush these fish. I've even seen these fish stacked up on very tiny itty bitty creeks that are just off of the ICW, but they're close to an inlet and there's still a food source coming in and out. So there have been a ton of fish just stacked up on tiny little creek mouths and things like that as they're going off, because that's going to be their last chance to get food for a while, and you can sit there and have a great day catching flounder. Okay guys, so my second tip is if you get the chance, target them at a lower tide. I like to fish for flounder in marsh systems, you know, typically in about 4 feet of less anyway, and many times even shallower. You know, by doing this, your target zone is actually going to be a lot easier to find, and it's just going to be smaller because those fish are going to be very concentrated in certain areas. And just knowing how flounder are designed, they typically don't move a whole lot from their feeding source, you know, which in a marsh system is going to be those drop-offs and entrances and exits to the flats or creeks. Also those smaller drains and things like that that we talked about. But really, as that water moves, many times those flounder just slide, you know, right off the edge of the bank into those creek entrances or those points, and that's the exact spot where they're going to be able to find and ambush bait. Additionally, a lower tide makes it easier for them to feed as well, since they are already on the bottom. You know, they have less distance to cover in the water column to actually catch that bait, and they will many times actually be in shallower water. And another key factor to think about as well is during your twilight periods, the flounder are typically very shallow. They like to feed really shallow in those twilight periods and even at night. So as the day progresses, typically the flounder are going to move off into those deeper areas on those cuts, creek entrances and exits and points. Oh, there he goes. Oh, that's a good one. Man, oh, it's a stud. Woo! All right. All right guys, so my third and final tip is going to be covering water thoroughly. The reason why is these flounder, like I said, are ambush predators, especially the southern flounder. It is not going to get up and run and chase your bait. So you really got to just be thorough on those high percentage target zones that we talked about. So if you see a nice shell bar with a good drop off or your entrance and exits to creek mouths, go ahead and make several casts. I can't tell you how many times I've done that, and on my second, third, even fourth cast was the one that ended up getting the flounder. So that's one more thing to think about, and just make sure you're being very thorough and covering all the angles, and you should hook up. So if you would like more detailed information on how to catch flounder, including your lures, techniques, and what to look for on satellite imagery, be sure to check out our Insider Club where we go over all this and much more. And if you're new to Salt Strong, just know that we're the best online fishing club for saltwater anglers, especially if you're targeting redfish, sea trout, snook, or flounder. There's nothing else like it, and we actually guarantee that you'll catch more fish while saving time and money. We do this by our premium education, the exclusive insider community, and huge discounts on all the tackle you need. To learn more, go to saltstrong.com. Otherwise, hope to see you again soon.